unclaimed and frozen assets owned by Muslims in Malaysia has been rising annually. Currently, it stands at 70 billion ringgit, out of which 90% is owned by Muslims.
Okay, Islamic estate planning basically is the anticipation, preparations, arrangement of the administration or management of the asset or estates for the purpose of distribution according to Sharia principles.
Muslims in Malaysia are faced with a huge sum of unclaimed and frozen assets left by the deceased. According to data compiled by Muhammad Khairi and Suhaili in 2013 and Fazira et al. In 2014, show that the value of unclaimed assets in the country is growing annually. In 2016, data shows that an estimated 1 million inheritance claims worth approximately 38 billion ringgit was still left frozen.
This is where a lot of distortions of perceptions of people who are the actually legal heirs. So therefore, in Islam, they already stated in Al-Quran, there is 25 people who are actually entitled for the estates. So therefore, they require to prepare for this in order to make sure not only the legal heirs can receive it, but at the same time, the process of the law of transferring from their name to the demise name to the legal heirs will be done smoothly.
Khamarul noted that the growth of the unclaimed assets is due to the ignorance of the asset owners as well as the legal heirs. He said there is a lack of awareness and understanding towards the concept of estates, and as a result, methods on how to distribute those assets become an issue. Khamarul also shares with us that Muslim asset owners are not well informed about the administration process and the allocation of money and time needed.
So that is the reason, the four reasons why the problem has been accumulating hugely from years to years. Starting from 2006, the amount that frozen is 38B. I'm talking about billions. Then it went up to 42 billions. Then it went up to 52 billions in just a number of years. Then it went up to 66 billion in 2013. Now they're talking about 70B. And from the 70B, amazingly, 90% is belong to Muslim. Why is it happening? Is because number one is the clash between their perceptions and the reality. So what is the perception? Perceptions where the reality is in Islam, when a person demise, you have to accelerate three things immediately. Accelerate or expedite the burial process, pay all the debts, number two, and distribute the estate as fast as possible. But it's actually the opposite to the culture of Muslim or in specific Malays in Malaysia. Because there's a culture where, hang on a minute, you know what I mean, after the burial process, everybody, all the siblings get together. Who's going to talk about this? Because there's a perception, who's going to talk about it as if, he's greedy. You know what I mean? Can't you wait? You know, mom just passed away or dad just passed away. So with that perception, if somebody is trying to, expedite the process, what's your intention? You know what I mean? So people don't want to be labeled that way. So they end up delaying it. They end up procrastinating it. So when they procrastinate, what happens is that another person might pass away after that. So what happened in Islamic inheritance, there's a faraid law. So the portion that for example, the brother have entitled for, and when he demise, now that portion will be now inherited by his legal heirs, which is his wife, his kids, and so on. So now it becomes multiple layers, and that becomes more complicated.
In order to decrease the growth of unclaimed inheritance, Khamarul noted that asset owners need to understand who their legal heirs are and to educate their family members. Other than listing down all the current assets, they would also need to plan their inheritance according to the right instruments that complies with the Sharia law.
First, they need to understand who are their faraid or legal heirs. That seems to be the issue. Because they do not know who is their faraid or legal heirs. So first, if they know, then they can prepare the first five that will entitle for it. For example, the demise person is a husband of, then he has father, the father entitled for 1/6. If he has a mother, mother is equivalent to 1/6 also. Now he have a wife and the wife have kids, the wife have 12.5%, which is 1/8. So, and then the balance is to the kids, and the ratio of 2 to 1. Male got 2, and the ladies got 1. Now, the faraid changes the moment the structure of the family changes. For example, when he died, this husband died, the father is already died earlier. So the father does not entitle for it, for example. And he doesn't have a son. So he has a mother, he has a wife, and a daughter, for example. Now, the faraid, or the legal heirs, which is, will be the mother, 1/6, the wife, 1/8, because they have a daughter. The daughter have half, and there's still a balance. That balance will be entitled to all his siblings. Now, there's not is the issue of the entitlement. The issue is he does not educate his family members, because when in the process of the estate administration process, all the legal heirs have the rights to it. So this is where he needs to understand and educate the wife and the kids to tell them this is also his legal heirs, and if he has certain planning, so therefore he has to plan according to the instrument that compliance to Sharia. So the next thing is they have to list all the assets. A lot of people have assets. They have a house here, a house over there, they have saving everywhere. But when he demands, the family member does not know what his asset is. So it's very important that he listed all the asset, the current asset, and update all the documentation. And the most important is to identify what are the asset purpose is. So what is important is that knowing that, I also want to leave some for my mother, some for my father, but ample amount for my education of my daughter. So how do I do that? That's where he have to choose the right instrument. It's either bequest or will or hibah. If he want to be according to his formula, then he can use hibah, which is one of the instrument in Islamic estate planning. So at the end of the day, you have to take action and start planning. So what is the planning? Is to have to appoint somebody as the administrator, either your wife, your son, whatsoever, or a third party or institution. Second is to make sure that give the proper instructions on what to do. And third is to make sure you have sufficient funds at the end. And last one is to make sure that if you want to distribute it according to your formula, not to the FAID formula, there is an instrument that can be used for it.
Now, I just want to ask, currently from your opinion, because you said there's a lack of awareness in the society about the Islamic estate planning.
Yes.
Now, do you see if there is an improvement of awareness, or is still lacking very much?
Okay. If we look from the perspective of insurance penetration, and we're talking about 54% penetration, which means every 10% that you make, there probably about 5 to 6% already have insurance or takaful. So do with investment, like for example, unit trust. In Malaysia, we have about 30 million populations. Out of that, 15 million is Muslim, and out of that, 8 million they're eligible to do planning. Yeah. Now, hibah penetration is 0.2%.
Okay.
Which is like, if you see 100 people, you don't see, if you see 1,000 people, perhaps 2 people will not understand about hibah. But today, people starting to look for it because they already have experienced the issues on estates. So now the topic has become a little bit more interesting because takaful company is also talking about hibah. But that is only from a perspective of fundraising mechanism. So there are a lot more or bigger scope of hibah that people need to plan and to know.
There seems to be a misconception about estate planning, especially in Islam. Be it in terms of funding or knowing who the legal heirs are, there is a lack of awareness and education amongst the Muslim household. Lastly, right after the break, Sunway Lagoon shares with us the heart of bringing joy to city folks.